Hey, what's going on, guys? All right, let me just get some last adjustments here. Actually, you might not be hearing me perfectly quite yet. Okay, no, should be good. All right, we should be all good to go here. I know we're very zoomed in at the moment. There we go. Hey, what's going on, everyone? One more adjustment I think I want to make here for this light here for us. Hey, good morning. How's everybody doing this morning? Good morning, good morning. Decker and Ranma. What's going on, guys? Well, wherever you guys are watching from in the world, it may not be morning, or if you're watching on the playback later on, it may be morning. It could be any time of the day. So anyway, good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I think there's going to be the need for tweezers for a couple of stickers that we have for this. So let me go ahead and grab those before we get started. And let's see. The kit I did not have a ton of fun with, Brandon says. Yeah, Happy says, I always wanted this kit, but he doesn't know if it's any good. He heard it's a hand grenade. That's why I'm doing this build and then subsequent review of this kit, because like maybe some of you, I have built this kit before, but I built this before I was doing anything like on like YouTube, social media, whatever, with my Gunpla. So, but I built it and I don't remember having any like much of a problem with the kit. So it could be that I just don't remember well. That could very well be the case. But my sense is that the bad reputation that this kit has is a little bit overblown. It could be a situation very much like the Master Grade Exia, where yeah, the feet are kind of annoying, but like most people are probably going to put it up on an action base, which completely negates the issue anyway, so it's really not that big of a deal. That's what I'm kind of expecting here. I'm trying to keep an open mind because I do want to try to... Oh, wait a minute, that's not... Okay, yeah, it is. I do want to try to, not go in with too much of a bias, but my sense is that the kit is going to be just fine. Like, the one thing that I've heard a lot from people in particular is regarding like the ankles and like the feet. And so, yeah, I mean, like the Exia, we may find that the feet are a little bit wonky, but again, I mean, is it really going to, then make me end up feeling like it's a bad kit? I doubt it. I got some weird... What is this stuff in here? Oh, it seems like kind of like some... seems like some like dried liquid mask in there somehow. I don't know how that got there. All right, so let's go for the eye sticker decals. There's the option whether you wanted to go just straight up mirror finish or the decal here that actually has eyes on it. All right. Will Bandai ever make an MG Gyaradoga heavy arms type like from Unicorn? Not sure. Good question. It's hard to know what Bandai is ever going to make from any particular series. So, all right, a couple things. Dear God, I wish you luck on this, my friend RK said. I really don't think it's going to be that bad. I mean, I like I said, just from seeing like reactions, just from people for this live build, and then just like reactions that I've seen from people just like over the years regarding this kit, And the reactions I've seen kind of range between, you know, people saying it's absolute trash and people saying like it's an alright kit, but it definitely has problems. And I mean, I can say with a good amount of confidence, I think at this point, that it's definitely not trash. You know, how big of an issue really are the issues that it has is what we're here to find out. So for right now, we're just gonna be building the kit, and then I will be doing a review. And I'll let you guys know kind of what I find out from my investigation. And then after this, gonna be doing another similar kind of video very soon to another kit which has a similarly bad reputation, which would be the RG ARC-782 Gundam. So that's another kit that I feel like probably gets a much worse reputation than it really deserves. Because I've built that kit twice actually, but again, it was 10 years ago, about there, around 10 years ago. So yeah, it could be the case that, you know, maybe I just at the time I didn't think it was that bad. I am kind of having an issue with this clear part. I feel like this is not in there all the way. I'm trying to get it pushed in all the way. I guess it is, but hang on. Okay, no, maybe it's not like that. So that part was fine. It's just that these parts here for the side of the head actually don't go where I was trying to put them, I think is more so the issue. So let's actually go a little bit back. There we go. All right, next, this horn piece here, and then this piece to top it off. Okay, simple enough. So there's our head, and let me give you guys a look at that. I mean, it's a great looking design. So that's why I'm thinking that that's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to do this, was because, I mean, just on a personal level, I really like the design, and so to see the kit have such a bad reputation is disappointing, because I think it's a really cool design, and it's a shame that there's a lot of people who are going to not want to buy and build this kit because they've heard it has a bad reputation. I just think that's a shame, because, you know, it's fun to enjoy cool Gunpla designs, and this is certainly one of them, in my opinion. I mean, I think it'll be fine. Any transformable MG on that color scheme? Who doesn't? It's bad. I think you're meaning to say, like, who wouldn't enjoy a transformable MG in this color scheme? I mean, there's not too many of them. I guess like the only thing kind of similar like this, which would be a transforming MG in a similar color scheme, would be like the Zeta Plus. But yeah, and like a much older kit and very different. Well, I guess the transformation is probably similar, but yeah, old, much older than this one. Well, I don't know. I guess how much older is it? I guess it's probably not like much older, but it's older anyway. I'm gonna guess the MG Zeta Plus is probably like 2004 or something like that, if I remember correctly, and this is probably like 2010, 12, 11, 2011, yeah. So, I mean, good ways later. But how are you guys all doing? Anyway, MG Barzan would be cool. Yeah, that would be cool. Don't think that'll happen, but I mean, it would be cool. I think as far as like a 1/100 scale version of the Barzan, I think it would be a good candidate for the RE100 line, assuming that the RE100 line is not completely dead. But I think it would be a good fit for that line. Something very similar to like the Gun Easy, sort of. Anyway, I didn't even know people disliked it. Yeah, disliked this kit. I mean, I think it's. Let's see. This is one of my first MGs. Flame Zombie said. Yeah, I don't even know if it's necessarily that like people dislike it. I think it's just a matter of it just has a bad reputation. I mean, so there's probably a lot of people who have just not built it because they heard it was bad, or they built it and heard it was bad, and they also kind of maybe had a couple issues with the kit, so then they just kind of end up agreeing kind of with the crowd consensus, saying like, yeah, I built it, I had a problem with it as well, so I also think it's bad, when the reality of the situation is that like it's not that bad, and like the fixes that it needs, kind of like what we found out when I've taken a look, done videos like this in the past, reviews taking a look at the RG Shinanju, the RG Zeta Gundam, like both of those kits I actually quite enjoyed, and they do have issues, but they're very simple issues to solve. And so I mean, like, the amount of hate that kits like that get, I think is just very overblown and unfounded. So that's why I'm kind of anticipating basically the same thing with this. Yeah, so I don't think that's a matter of like people hate it. I think it's just a matter of people just kind of end up going along with kind of like with the popular consensus among people, other people online. The one thing that I will say about like this is not a Zeta kit, but any kits like this, just because it has like a similar transformation to like the Zeta, like the different versions of the Master Grade Zeta Gundam and this kit, and like where the torso construction is similar, where like when it transforms, the head has to kind of go down into the torso. Like it's the Master Grade XS is another example of kind of a similar design for the torso construction. I do not like it. It's just like it's just not a fun part of the construction for me, just because it's kind of just very different. I don't know, and kind of uncomfortable. It's not a fun part of the build, I will say. It suits the purpose though, so I mean, you kind of just have to do it, but yeah, it's complex and not in a fun way. I never painted one of these kits, but I can just kind of see. Oh, MTS coming in with the $20 super chat there. Thank you so much. Thank you. Wow. How often during disassembly after a snap build do you damage parts? I saw your update video. I hope this helps a little bit. It definitely does. Thank you so much for that. How often do I damage parts? Not that much. I mean, not as much as you might think. It does happen from time to time, but I'm usually pretty careful, and it's not that much. And usually when it does happen, it's very inconsequential. Like, it'll be on, like, one of the most common areas I found is like on like feet parts. We have like, especially in HGs, and it's a lot of MGs as well, like basically two parts for the foot, like the bottom part and the top part, right? A lot of time it's just based on how those parts are designed. There's not really anything good to like get a good grip on to pull those pieces apart again, or any good spot like to pry them apart with like a part separator. So those parts can be kind of tricky. And I mean, but the good thing is that if and when, because you are probably going to break a peg at some point. You know, it's just a matter of time. It does happen. If you end up breaking something, the good thing is that for those parts, there's like the part will be held together by like 2 or 3 or 4 pegs. So if you break one peg, the part will still fit together with the remaining pegs that you still have on there. So even if it's only 2 pegs and you break one out of the 2, then you still have one good peg to hold the parts together, and that's more than enough. Even if it was 2 pegs and you broke both the pegs, then you would just end up just gluing. You could just glue the parts together after they're painted anyway, and it really wouldn't be that big of a deal. So that's why I tell people a lot, and this is the point, you know, I try to make anytime I get the opportunity to not be afraid of breaking parts, because eventually at some point you're going to break parts, and then breaking parts is actually helpful, and then that it forces you to learn how to fix or how to deal with breaking parts. I mean, it's gonna happen, and it's a good skill to have, to know how to fix that stuff. So you might as well not worry about it. All right, let's see here. Hang on. So this part is meant to flip up. Okay. So that flips up first. Click. These parts fold up. Those do not click. This, I think we should still be extended up, I guess. And like this here, this inner part. But yeah, what I was gonna say about not looking forward to painting a kit like this, just because of for the inner frame especially, there's a lot of number 1, ABS plastic. Number 2, a lot of just these little ABS parts that have mold lines, and I would just be I would end up spending way too much time just trying to sand all these dumb mold lines and stuff away. So I think this was supposed to be, hang on. I think I'm not doing this in the proper way, but getting it done anyway. There we go. Getting those parts clicked into place. So yeah, these parts for the side of the kind of midsection are supposed to be folded down. This part for the head is supposed to be extended up like that, and it doesn't actually click into place though. So I think it's going to be held into place by other parts once we get to that, but for right now it's just kind of sliding there. And I wonder why people just 3D print their stuff for pennies on the dollar instead. You could do that, sure. I am remembering the side torso pieces now. They were a bit finicky. Yeah, getting them connected was kind of a little bit tricky. Once they're on there, I mean, I don't feel like I'm going to have much more of a problem with that going forward. But let's see, we got to put together these other sections here now. There's a particular left and right side for these parts, and they look very similar. So I'm trying to make sure I got the right ones here. Looks like it. That goes in there first, and then, wait a minute. That should have gone in there first. According to the manual, that part goes in there, but I think it should go in. There's like a note here in Japanese. I'm going to assume it says something like to put that part in like halfway first, and then put the white part in there. Yeah. That part there. Then where are we going with this? That part flips out to the side. This is going to be our sides of the torso here, basically. It's going to feel a lot more comfortable once we start getting all these parts together. This is why, like I was just saying before, like why I don't find on kits like this and like the Zeta variants, and like the XS, putting together the torso section on transforming MGs like this is just kind of a hassle. I feel like it's not fun. I mean, like, if it comes together and does what it needs to do at the end of the day, then fine. But it's just kind of a pain. So also noticing that the white part has an interesting movement to it, and I guess it'll be part of the transformation. We'll get to that later. I'm not going to transform it on the live stream here. I'll transform it in the review, obviously. But I will say that this is one of the best looking transformed kits, in my opinion, as well. The HG also, and I think if you really wanted it, if you really wanted a Delta Plus in the Wave Rider form, I would just get the HG. I mean, the MG looks great, but I mean, like with the MG, you're paying a lot for like larger size and the more like full transformation to it and everything. And I think there is, even with this, I think there's a little bit of parts forming. There's a couple of pieces you have to use here for that. But like the nice thing about the HG is if you don't care about the fact that it's parts forming, which I personally don't care at all about, then you can just get it and just like build it as just like the Wave Rider form, and it's just like a nice, very solid, little compact Wave Rider form there for the mobile suit. Really cool design too. Like I said, in my opinion, one of the best looking transformed Gundams. Mobile suits? It's not a Gundam, right? Yeah. Let's see. What's wrong with this? Do I have something on here incorrectly? These parts here not wanting to fit together. They keep popping up. The shield turning into the nose cone works so well. Yeah, I mean, it's a really cool design. This and like another one that I would put up there as one of the best looking ones would be the overflag. I think I've got this part kind of wrong, so hang on just a second. Oh yeah. Okay, I didn't have that pressed. The like cockpit seat part was not pressed in there all the way. That's all. Easy. It's the cockpit hatch piece, which is very simple. There's no like inner piece for the cockpit hatch, which is like not that big of a deal. It would be a nice detail to have, I guess, if you're into having more detail on like the inner frame and inner areas and everything. But yeah, I'm not too worried about that. All right. Let's see if I can get this piece in here. Kind of the way this needs to fit in. It's a little bit trickier to do with my fingers. There we go. All right, so that's there. The chest piece. And cockpit part clips in. Now we can put it all together here. So fold these parts down here on the side. That's what the front part's going to clip onto. And these white parts, yes, these white parts on the top. Oh, those can go in after, can't they? Okay. These will kind of flip up, so they're a little bit out of the way. And what's that connect onto? Oh, I think that's where I think I missed a step. Oh, yeah. Okay. I missed this part here. That flips down. There we go. So that's what's going to hold the neck from sinking down into the torso. Forgot to move that part down there. That's the other thing with kits like this, and not even just kits like this, but a lot of times this happens to me as well. So I'm certainly not excluded from this. But I mean, like, what happens in a lot of cases is just user error. So I mean, like what was just happening with me. The kit was not cooperating with me, and I just kind of looking back at the manual again and just kind of figuring out, I realized that it was just my own error. I missed a step in the manual, and so like that's what tends to happen in a lot of cases too. I'll get messages from people like, oh, I'm trying to put this kit together and like these parts are not going together right, or I can't get this part to fix, I can't get this part to go in. What I usually tell people is just take it apart and then build it again. Just go back to the manual, because probably what happened is that you missed a step or something along the way. You missed a part or something. One part is not aligned properly. And that's probably all it is. And just by going through and taking it apart and rebuilding it, you're probably bound to find where you went wrong the first time. So there's a lot of user error that, unfortunately, you do see that kind of coming into the equation when you see a lot of people like hating on kits. Say like, I personally had a really bad time with this kit, so I think the kit sucks. It's like, well, there is, I don't know what the percent would be, but there is a certain percent, I'm sure, of people who are saying, you know, having opinions like that just based on the fact that, you know, their own mistake. So it happens. So. Oops. Okay. All right. Hand. This does have the 3-in-1 hands. The first finger has its own ball. Well, each finger has its own ball joint, so you can cut them apart and have each finger individually articulated, but the second, third, and fourth fingers are molded together for this. All right, arms. Polycap 4. I also don't like the fact that the polycap runner is a numbered runner or a lettered runner, so it's runner K rather than just being a PC runner. So every time I keep seeing it in the manual. The polycaps are a different color, like they're shaded gray instead of just being like a white outline. So they're easy to pick out, but it keeps throwing me off because I see that's got a K there instead of a PC. So I'm thinking like, oh wait, is that a part? No, it's a polycap. Okay. That's there. Okay. So yeah, just built this kit. It looks amazing. Just don't touch it, Tony. Yeah, that's another good point that Tony brings up, is that you know, at the end of the day, these are model kits and not toys. And so if you're gonna be building the kit and then playing around with it, and then you run into issues with it, parts do get loose, and kind of the effectiveness of joints and polycaps and everything does kind of degrade the more you play around with it. The point, I mean, they are designed and made to be able to be moved around, but I mean, to an extent. So yeah, that's the other thing too, is that, you know, if you're gonna be getting it and moving it around a bunch, you're gonna see that degradation happen much sooner than if you were to just kind of set it in a pose and leave it on your shelf, and then maybe change the pose like once every few months or once a year or something like that, or whatever, anytime you move or anything like that. Oops. See, there you go, it happened again. I was putting that part on upside down. No wonder it was not fitting there properly. Okay. This part here for the upper arm. I do like how, like, speaking of, I've been like talking about how the construction of the torso section is like kind of very similar to the Master Grade Zeta Gundam and the Master Grade XS, just because it's a transforming Master Grade suit, so kind of has a similar feel to the torso construction. But like, even design wise, I mean, there's a lot of very similar design aspects kind of between the two. I mean, would you guys, like, looking at it section by section, I mean, there's a lot of similar design features, I feel like, to both the XS and the Zeta Gundam. Interestingly, it's kind of like an amalgamation of the two of those designs, or I guess maybe more so like the Zeta Plus and the XS or the S Gundam, sort of. I guess canonically that probably makes sense. I'm not sure I remember like exactly like the lineage, how that works offhand, but I'm sure it's something like that. I know the Delta Plus is based off of the Delta Gundam, which is based off of the Zeta Gundam. Is that right? Something like that? Good day, man. Watching from Davao. Davao City in Philippines. Shout out to all the builders in Davao. Yeah, shout out to everybody in the Philippines. I'm sure just based on like the time that I'm streaming at the moment, there's probably a good amount of people there in the Philippines watching at the moment. So, good morning from Hawaii. Oh, it must be like really early. What time is it in Hawaii? It must be like 3 a.m. or something. I don't know. Tamago Musubi. Shark Fu is watching on Twitch. What's going on over there? Hello to everybody watching on Twitch. And happy Friday. Ernie said, yeah, exactly. Happy Friday, guys. As some of you may know, we were supposed to be live this morning, Adam and I, on the USA Gundam TV channel for our bi-weekly live stream over there. We ended up having to reschedule that. And so that's why I'm live building this, which I was planning on either doing maybe like either this afternoon or next week. And so I decided to just do it this morning instead, since we were postponing that live stream. But if you guys have not yet gone and commented and entered yourselves in the giveaway for that live stream, for the USA Gundam TV live stream, should go and do that. You can go and come back, I won't mind, or go later after this live stream is done. But go and check out the post there. There is a post on the USA Gundam TV YouTube channel, as well as Facebook and Instagram accounts. And you can only comment once, but you can comment on all 3 platforms. So you can essentially give yourself 3 chances to win. Because we first draw, it's just a random draw, and first we'll draw for which platform the winner is going to be coming from, and then we draw for the winner itself, the winner themselves. Anyway, so yeah, you don't have to leave a different question on each platform either. A lot of people will just copy and paste their same question onto all 3 platforms, and then there you go, you've entered yourself in 3 times to win the kit, which in this case is a master grade Destiny Impulse Gundam R Reginus, which is actually the same kit that we tried to give away 2 months ago in a previous live stream giveaway, but nobody claimed it. The winner didn't ever claim it, so we're recirculating it back to another prize for this coming live stream, which was supposed to be this morning but is postponed until Tuesday. Monday, we can't do it on Monday. We can't do it today because Adam's got other stuff going on, and we can't do it on Monday because I've got other stuff going on. I have to go to a doctor appointment with my wife, and so Tuesday is when we'll be doing that. Tuesday, as my uncle would say. Phil, yes, live stream, welcome. Let's see. Okay. A couple of polycaps. Even though we do have a pretty big polycap runner here, there's a lot of these that we're going to end up not using, actually. If you look at the manual, I'll show you here. If you look here, really only going to use like half the polycap runner, something like that. So it looks like there's a lot of polycaps, but I mean, even so far, in the torso, I think there was nothing. In the head, there was one for like the connection to the neck, and in the arms, there's 2 in each arm. So I mean, I think there probably will be more in the legs and maybe the waist, backpack. I guess any other section we've not built yet, I don't recall. We'll find out soon enough, but at least so far, it's been very light on the polycaps, which, again, take it or leave it. I don't know. It matters more to some people than others, but it doesn't really matter that much to me personally. But for those of you who are curious, I do find it sort of interesting. Usually you think, like, especially on kits of this age, they do tend to be a little bit more heavy on the use of polycaps. And we certainly have a lot there on the runner, but not actually using that much of them thus far. All right, this second arm here, I'm feeling confident that I can build it from memory after building the first one and not have to refer to the manual, but we'll see how well that works out. But yeah, as far as I mentioned, if you guys did see the update video that I posted last night, I talked about how I'm painting the RG Barbatos. And just on that note, it's going well. After this, I'm going to spray the clear coat on it. And then beginning of next week, or I guess probably middle of next week is probably more likely, we'll do all the finishing touches on that, which will just be like the top coat, or sorry, not getting ahead of myself, the decals and what else? What's it called? Panel lining? Jeez. Okay. Anyway, I'll just focus on what I'm doing here. I'm having some trouble. But yeah, it's one of those situations that I've had with the last couple of builds. I've had this where I've not been totally sure the color is really going to work out as I'm hoping, like along the way. But then once I got that, I mean, the magic of top coat is amazing. I mean, once I got that like final top coat on there, it all comes together. But until that point, I'm like feeling unsure of myself. But I mean, once you get that final top coat on there, it's magical. Let's just say that. It's magic. What top coat does for the build. So, okay. I think I've managed to so far. Spoke too soon. I almost had it. Forgot about this part. Should not be too bad. Almost had it all put together. I was able to do it without the manual, so that's good. My brain is not totally mush yet. I guess I'm at least as good as a trained monkey. I can repeat a task that I just did minutes ago. All right. When I was just putting those pieces on there, something was feeling kind of loose, but now it feels okay, so I guess it's all right. So there's our arms. Very nice. Cool deal. Upper body is done. P Bandai Delta Gundam win. Yeah. If you guys saw, I did that video. About MG designs that Bandai seems to be just kind of leaving on the table, and that was one of the ones that I talked about. I think one of the first ones I talked about in that video. It's either the Delta Gundam or the Delta Kai. Based off of this, I mean, I think in actuality, I didn't look that close at the designs to see just how much of the design could actually be reused. So I should probably actually look at it in a bit more detail. But I mean, I can assume from what I can remember, the designs that a decent amount of the kit should be able to be reused for either of those kits to make either a Delta Gundam or a Delta Kai. Both would be awesome. I would love either one of those. Stefan, hello. Shin says, I want a normal MG Rezel and the Delta Plus so badly. I think I saw that the Rezel, or so the Commander type Rezel MG, is getting a reprint, right? They made like a whole big thing of that at the last Tokyo Hobby and Toy Show. What was it? At that event, there was a whole thing about how it was like a poll, an online poll, and the MG Rezel Commander type, I think it was one of the ones that won and is getting a reprint because of that. People voted on wanting a reprint of it. I'm excited to finally am getting that MG Stargazer resin kit. Rama says, I was recommended Pro Acryl Bold Titanium White to use as a white paint. It'll come out good. This will be my first resin kit. I'm not sure about that white paint. It's not something that I'm familiar with, but I mean, like any white, like lacquer paint, it really just kind of depends on what color white you want. But yeah, a lot of times, I mean, this is like kind of one thing that I'll definitely talk about in the painting tutorials. But I mean, like, I rarely ever use pure white or pure black on a kit. If it's white, if I want something to look white, I'll paint it like an off-white. And the same for black. I'll just paint like a really dark gray. The only time, I mean, like, even for making colors darker, I don't know if I ever really even use black for that. I will sometimes use white to mix into colors to make the color a little bit lighter. But even then, I often don't use pure white for lightening colors. Like, I would just use a lighter version of that color. Like, for the Barbatos, for example, as I'm painting all the armor blue, and I started painting with like just a cobalt blue, and it was too dark for what I wanted. So rather than adding white to it, which also desaturates it, by using a lighter color of blue rather than white, it still keeps the blue nice and rich. It doesn't desaturate it as much, but it just makes it a little bit lighter. So I just mixed in like a little bit, just like a lighter blue. I think it was like it's a Mr. Color, like a Gundam Color MS Blue or something like that. MS Light Blue, something. So it's kind of a good tip about using white and black. There's a lot of uses, I guess, kind of like for white and black. And like, there's a reason that a lot of paint companies will sell like larger size bottles of white and black, because I mean, there are certainly occasions where you might want to use one. Some of those. Another good use for white, and again, much less so black, but another really good use for white would be if you want like a really light color, rather than like, if you wanted like a really light lavender color, for example, rather than like taking like a purple or a lavender color and trying to lighten it, it's easier to just take white and just like add a drop of purple to it and mix it and just kind of tint the white rather than trying to lighten the purple, for example. So like, that's one good reason to have like a bunch of white paint. And yeah, less so black, because it's not really going to work the same way like doing that with black paint. But yeah, it's all the fun of painting. But yeah, while I have been enjoying painting the RG Epion and now the MG Barbatos, I do need to try to catch up a little bit on like just the snap building stuff, like building stuff for reviews like that. I can't neglect building stuff for reviews too long, because that stuff piles up real quick, and I have a hard enough time trying to keep up with that stuff even when I'm like not spending any time painting. That's one of the troubles with trying to, in like what I do on YouTube, trying to be a reviewer and also a painter and modeler, myself. It's hard to do both. But yeah, I'm trying, I guess. It's hard to have the time for both. It's easier to have the time for both, like the less responsibility that you have. So like if you're unmarried or don't have kids or things like that, I mean, I was able to do more of that stuff before my responsibilities outside of Gunpla mounted. But that's just life. All right, interesting bit here. I'm guessing this is the problem with the feet that people are talking about, the way that the front foot slides up like that for the transformation. And there's not really like a good lock mechanism to lock the foot down into like when it's in mobile suit form. It seems like maybe that's what people are worried about, but let me continue on here for a minute with this part of the build. Oh, okay. Try that again. So ankle armor is on there like that. Oh yeah, I was supposed to do it like that anyway. So again, I did it wrong, and so that's why that happened. Okay, so this goes on here then. Up into there. And then what? That's it for right now. Okay, so we're just gonna put that aside, I guess. Got another polycap here, 5. All right, what would you recommend as a white paint for resin kits then? Well, the first and most important thing is just going to be your surfacer. If you're wanting to paint white on anything, especially resin, and it just kind of depends on whatever, I mean, on plastic as well, it just kind of depends on whatever the base color is. Like if I wanted to paint this kit in white, for example. But anyway, surfacer is going to be one thing that's going to be really important. So just you need to make sure that you're either going to want to use white surfacer. You can use gray surfacer. If you can get white surfacer, it's what I would recommend. Gray will work, and just kind of painting white on top of gray surfacer just kind of takes more coats depending on how bright you want the white to be. If you don't want it to be like a super bright white, gray surfacer will work fine. But if you do want the white to be like really bright, then using white surfacer would be a good idea. So use your, get a good coat of surfacer down first and then paint your white on top of that, and it should be just fine. Oh God. More polycaps in that knee joint than what I initially thought. 8 and 9 also in there. Okay. I don't like that. I'll show you guys what I mean here in the manual. So like for the knee joint here, so building this section, and so I see, okay, I need this polycap in here, put these parts together with that part in there, and then, okay, we'll move on to the next step. Oh, wait, no, there was other polycaps I was supposed to have in there. I mean, like, yeah, it's right next to there, so I mean, like, it's my fault for not seeing that, but I mean, like, I think that this is probably a little bit of a cultural thing for, even though the manual is set up like this in, like, Western format of, like, left to right, and the manual goes left to right in, like, Western style. It's not Japanese style, which is kind of, like, backwards. If you guys ever read like Japanese manga or manga that's translated or whatever, kind of like goes right to left, backwards. But I think like if you are a Japanese person, like looking at this panel, this is all like part of step 7.5 here, you would probably notice this before this sooner than someone like me who's a Westerner, where I look at here first and then here. You get what I mean? Even though it has the whole arrow thing, I just kind of didn't see that at first. But it's kind of an interesting cultural thing, I guess, maybe. We need a new Zeta Plus C1 and Sentinel case in general. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough call. I mean, like, it would really be cool to have like a new Zeta Plus, yeah. But I think still ultimately, oh sorry, I'm still zoomed in, aren't I? Ultimately, if I got to make the call as to what's gonna be the next, is it like, okay, we can get an MG kit from Gundam Sentinel. What would I want? I would want either the Nero or a Zeku Eins. Definitely would prefer one of those. I mean, because yeah, having a new Zeta Plus would be cool, but considering at least we already have the one, it'd be nice to get something that we just don't have yet at all. That's why I would love the Nero. It's just such a cool design, and the Zeku Eins as well. Both of those I also talked about in that recent video. Hummingbird, yeah, Hummingbird would be cool as well, for sure. There's this, like here where we live, not here, this is Daytona, but where we live nearby. There's this new kind of big jump place. Anyway, my wife was sending me pictures. My wife is because today's Veterans Day. So happy Veterans Day to all any veterans that are watching. I'm not sure how many of veterans might be watching at the moment, but if there are any, happy Veterans Day. But yeah, because it's Veterans Day, the kids have no school today, and so my wife is taking them to a kind of bounce park, I guess would be a good way to describe it. I'm not sure. Imagine like a carnival that's just filled with all the different kind of like bounce house and like bounce slides and bounce obstacle course and everything like that, right? You know what I mean? So hope that they're going to be having fun there. I think they just arrived, yeah. Trampoline park? No, it's not a trampoline park. It's just it's all like bouncy stuff. So bounce house fair? I don't know. Yeah, what would you call that? I don't know. Anyway. Kind of a tricky aspect of the construction of the leg here, but we'll get that. It's interesting anyway. Make a working piston. One thing that I will tell you guys, speaking of working pistons, and I'll tell you guys now because I'm sure I'm going to forget to say it or mention anything about it later on in the review of the Barbatos, but if you guys are getting the MGSD Barbatos and planning on painting it, one thing that I have discovered already with that kit is that the pistons have a very tight tolerance. So if you are planning on like repainting the piston parts, I would definitely sand those down a little bit more just to make sure that then once they're painted, they're going to fit the, they're going to fit in those piston parts there. So just a little heads up for any of you guys who are planning on painting that kit. All right. We got. Uh-oh. Don't want that out. Want this here. No. This part here first. Goes in there. And that moves. That slides up. Delta Plus is a beautiful kit. I just couldn't with the ball joint hips and the little white latches that hold the chest together. Yeah, I didn't remember that part of the construction, that those little white latch parts. It is an interesting little bit that yeah, I can definitely see that being an issue. We'll find out more. I mean, like later on, once I'm doing the review. It's kind of hard to say at the moment. Just put it together, but I can see how those might be an issue because they're not exactly very tight. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, the ball joint hips also not ideal. So I'm with you on that too. It's never good. And on a kit like this, I mean, like, that's the trouble. And I think it's the same for the Exia then, wouldn't it be too? Just comparing the Exia, just because it's another kit that, you know, people will complain about the ankles being an issue. And so, I mean, the obvious solution is like, okay, if a kit like this has bad ankles, it'll just throw it up on an action base and they're problem solved. But if it has ball joint hips, putting it on an action base can also be an issue because the ball joint hips can be quite inhibitive when you're trying to do any posing. I forgot a piece. Oh no. On inside of the... Damn. That's going to be a problem, isn't it? Hopefully not too much of a problem. Let's see. In the thigh. Behind, speaking of the ball joint, for the hips. Oh, I'm going to have to do a little bit of disassembly here. Is it similar to the OVA Unicorn ankles? I don't think so, although I'm not entirely sure what the issue is that you're speaking on there, Brendan. So, not sure. Use my part separator here. This is a kind of unusual, and I think probably a very unnecessary piece. Yeah, so this is the ball joint right here, where the leg's gonna plug onto the ball joint for the hips. And what I forgot is this piece right here, this piece, which is meant to go in there. So it's really just a detail part of the frame and not actually needed. So I was kind of worried, like putting that on there, like, oh, is that going to... It looks like maybe that will... okay, it does kind of help to keep the ball joint, to keep this polycap more pressed out, because otherwise the polycap can be pressed in like that once you put this in. But I mean, I don't know, that could be useful. Could, like a socket polycap here that can move in and out. That might actually end up being like useful in some way. I don't know, but I will go ahead and just put this piece on here. And so we won't need to worry about it, but There we go. I saw Hasaki's here. What's going on? They just don't lock in because they are a U-joint, not a ball. I'll get to that here in just a minute. We can take a look. So we're going to fold down the ankle joint. Let's see if we can't figure this out. So I get the sense that for the ankle, the issue should be solved by folding this part down. But yeah, let me see. I mean, the front of the foot sliding up and down. Okay, no, it does still slide. So once you have the ankle joint kind of folded 90 or turned 90 degrees there, I was hoping that that would then stop it, but it does still, the front of the foot is still not like locked into place. So that's really kind of what it's missing, it seems like, is just any sort of lock there for the foot. But again, I think really kind of all you would need, essentially, if you want to just have the kit just standing there and not doing anything, just super glue that part there for the front of the foot, and then it should still be, it should be solid. But I mean, like, let me see here. So that's just going on there, because I mean the actual ankle of like the ball joint connecting the foot up into the leg doesn't necessarily seem like that's the issue. It's more just the part for the front of the foot. And if that's all that is, then that's a really easy fix. But again, if you can just put it up on a ball joint, it doesn't matter anyway. But okay, now I think I see what people are talking about here. It's that the weight of the leg, the way that it's lined up here, basically is what it's going to come down to. Is that the weight of the leg falls on not the center of the foot where you would ideally want it to be for it to balance properly, but the weight falls like directly onto the back of the foot, actually, which is going to make it like very back heavy. And then plus, once you actually have the kit standing and put together, it's got the wings in the backpack, which is also going to make it more back heavy. So yeah, I can see where it's definitely going to have some balance issues because of that. I mean, not even putting the rest of it together, I mean, just trying to get just the leg on its own just to stand up properly is kind of challenging. Just the leg to stand on its own. But yeah, okay, all right. Anyway, so we'll see what we can do to deal with that. It's definitely an issue, but an insurmountable issue, I don't think so. The katana is still not color accurate on the shin burning, apparently. I will be reviewing that kit, but it is still on the way. All right, put together a couple little bits here just to get some of these parts out of the way. Hoi. All right. Do you just use a tackle box for organizing parts? I mean, I don't know if you could call it a tackle box, or just like a organizer box. I mean, you can use it for tackle. Sure, a lot of people use it for all sorts of different things, but yes. Is Is this for a Gunpla myth busting or just for review? I mean, yes, to both, for a review and Gunpla myth busting. The Gunpla myth busting review. Yes. So far, it's pretty much exactly what I expected, and we'll see if it gets any worse going along. But it's pretty much what I expected in that it's got issues for sure, but is it that bad? I'm not convinced on that yet. But I think it's going to be a hard to convince me that it's really that bad. Not sure what might come up that could be that big of an issue for me, but we shall see. We're not quite done yet. Wait a minute. What the? All right. Delta Plus is such a good-looking suit. Also, howdy. Hey, what's going on, Francis? Good morning. Yeah, as I've talked about before regarding my tackle box, organizer box, whatever, over here, the reason why I like this one compared to a lot of the other different ones that I've seen is that just the way the sections are in it. Most times when you see ones like this, it'll be like a perfect grid, and like you can separate it into like different size sections like this basically, but I like this is like the perfect layout because you have like two larger sections right here, two longer sections. Well, I mean, you could put a separator there if you wanted to, but just kind of how I have these situated out. Small little section here, smaller sections here, so it usually works out really well. I do torso, waist, legs here because the legs do often kind of have some of these like longer parts like this in the legs, so these longer thinner parts usually work really well. Legs here, small little bit right there. For the head parts usually only need small little space for that. Arm parts, left arm, right arm, and then backpack. I'll sometimes have this separated, just kind of depending on what I need, like either as like backpack parts and then weapons parts, or depending on the kit. So the layout in these boxes, the boxes that I use, work really, really well for my purposes. So, I prefer it more than like like straight grid. Okay. Let's see. I need it to go with my brother's Hyakushiki. Yeah, it would look like it'd be a very good looking set kit to go with a Hyakushiki for sure. Alright, so here's what I'm looking for. It's gonna go there. And this one here. We'll do this correctly this time. This on one side. And this one on the other. All right. Okay. May all your protects see their way to completion and projects see their way to completion and price. Thank you. Yes, thanks. Hopefully. There's way more projects than are ever going to be completed. That's just how it goes. But yes, we can hope. We can attempt. All right. I'll check in there in the chat in just a second. Just a couple more polycaps here for this. Yeah, definitely more polycaps in the legs compared to the arms. Not too surprising there. Especially considering like the transformation obviously is going to be a bit more complex. Usually with the arms, it's like rotate the arms 90 degrees, and that's kind of about it. How big is the backlog? Maybe not as big as you might expect. I mean, it's still probably bigger than some, probably not as big as others. It's more so how big is my collection of build kits, because I mean, obviously, you know, for me and what I do, you know, creating this content, anything that's unbuilt in the backlog is just, you know, unused content. You know what I mean? And so I try to build, you know, as much stuff as I can, but I do certainly have a good amount of stuff that's, you know, sitting at home and not built, or sitting here and not built, both. But a good majority of the stuff that I have is all built. I mean, I have a ton of stuff that's all built. Yeah, there's some. I don't know. They're at home. Unbuilt kits. There's probably maybe a couple dozen unbuilt kits at home, and probably double that here. So I mean, I guess it is kind of a lot, isn't it? But yeah. Compared to how much I have that is built, it's like probably 1 to 10, if not more than that. All right. Okay. Lower leg. Now let's get this guy on here. Knee part here. This part here. And actually, on the note of the size and girth of my backlog, I am probably pretty soon, I need to gather some stuff, kind of organize some stuff to get rid of some stuff. Every so often, like every couple of years or so, I'll just kind of like sell off a bunch of kits that I've built and like done my review, and so like they've served their purpose to me, and just like you know, most stuff I would want to hang on to in hopes that I'll, you know, fully build and paint the kit at some point in the future. Probably not going to happen, but you know, ideally. But there's some kits where I just know that I'm never ever going to get around to painting them, and so yeah, every so often I do kind of try to clear house a little bit and get rid of some stuff that I just know I'm never going to get around to, and I need to do that. So probably sometime in like the kind of near future, I'll be looking to get rid of some stuff. So if any of you guys are in the market for buying, especially some like already snap built kits and painted kits, if it's like kits, you know, like, since I didn't bring anything over from Korea, except for one No, I didn't. I didn't bring any painted kits over from Korea. So if it's anything that you've seen me paint here in the US, if you're interested in buying, or if you're just kind of interested in what like snap built kits I may have for sale that I'm wanting to get rid of, reach out, send me a message on like Facebook or Instagram, whatever. I can let you know what I have and what I'm looking to get rid of. And then it's like, well, cheap. It will be like, if you don't mind the fact that the kits are already built, then I'm talking like much less than what it would be for the kits brand new. Because yeah, they've served their purpose to me, and I mean they have value, but I just need to get rid of some stuff. Just have too much, and then obviously just like could use the money now too. Why is the video frozen? Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah, that happens. You guys know that happens from time to time. Oh, usually happens always at some point during the live stream build. All right, sorry, hang on. Yep, give me just a moment here. Bear with me. There we go. Switch to this camera here for a moment. Yeah, the build camera froze. Thank you. Working at a hobby shop has not been good for my chronic shelving storage. Yeah, I'm sure. It's kind of like when I, for instance, the Razal Ghul can attest to this. He was there in college when I worked at a GameStop. Certainly didn't help me from buying more games than I ever had time to play, and I still have video games from those days that I've still not played. So yeah, okay, there we go. I don't know why that does that, but yeah. There we go. All good. Okay, but not all good, because actually I forgot to put this part on here. Got some good anime from those days. Yeah. Goblin said, "Hey, Zach, how's it going?" Going good. Thank you. Yeah, because that was back in the day. I mean, like, it was not allowed, but it was probably much easier to do than it would be these days. Even these days, like, I'm sure it still happens at places like GameStop or whatever, but like back at that time, what we would do, me and like my other coworkers there at GameStop, is like when people would bring stuff in like to trade in. Hang on. What's going on with this? Where are these? Okay, hang on. One of these pieces is not on here correctly. Hang on. When people would bring stuff in, like to trade, say, and like, you know, if you ever traded stuff in at GameStop, you know, like your options either to like get store credit or you can get cash. And I mean, this was 15 years ago. I don't even know if that's still what they do now, or maybe they don't do cash anymore. I have no idea. But anyway, point is, if it would be that they could get like $15 store credit or like $10 cash, for example, for a game that they brought in to trade in. If it was like a game or DVD or whatever that like I wanted, I could just be like, hey, I'll just give you $10 for this instead of trading it into the store, and they get like their $10 cash for their trade in from the store. It would just be from me, and then it would just be going to me instead of going to the store. We used to do that, and so like that's how I got a lot of games and like systems, like my Wii, like different stuff like that. Just whatever people would bring in to trade in, we could just buy off of them directly for whatever the cash offer would be. So, yep. But then, like the corporate office found out that people were taking advantage of that and started to crack down. And then like it was like a fireable offense if you got caught doing it. So that put a stop to that. But that was right about the time when I was done working there anyway. So, all right. 16, 17. I was really fortunate. I mean, I guess. You hear like a lot of bad things about GameStop, like as a company, whatever. And like I can't really speak to that just because I just don't really follow that kind of stuff. But I mean, like just as far as like a place to work, like a lot of other GameStops that I've been to, and I don't like go to them regularly, and even at that time I didn't go into other GameStops regularly, but other GameStops, I mean, like it's usually like doesn't seem like that like chill of a place. I mean, like I don't know, it's just not very cool. But like I was fortunate in that like the GameStop that I worked at, like the manager and like other coworkers and everybody there was like really cool. So we had a really fun working environment there, which was really nice. So I had a good experience there, working there. But I mean, I know that's not going to be the case for everyone's experience with any particular company. Still happens. I have a friend locally who is a GameStop manager. It's frowned upon, but still happens. Yeah, I'm sure it still happens from time to time. You just have to not get caught. All right, so there's those hip joints that we were talking about, and yeah, I mean they. We'll see. That's gonna clip on there. Hold down. I gotta make sure I'm paying attention to what I'm doing here. A little bit. Try to anyway. Is that supposed to be like that? No. I have that in there, right? Okay. Anyway, GameStop used to be great until the board of directors refused to fully reinvest back into the company with all their corner cutting. I mean, yeah, it just seems like it's just been kind of mistake after mistake after mistake in terms of like decision making on a corporate level. So shame, but yeah, like I said, it's not something that I've been following in any close way. Just kind of I vaguely kind of hear about things from time to time. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I had a good experience working there. But I wouldn't want to go back, of course, especially not now, but it was fine for me for the time. All right. Haven't been to an actual GameStop since early last year when they failed to process a pre-order for a regular copy of Omuri for the Switch. I don't even know what that is, but okay. I'm gonna bounce. Good luck with the Delta Plus. Looking forward to the review. Thank you. Thanks, Jeremy, and thanks for hanging out. We're just about done, really. The waist section will allow us to put together the body. We still have then the backpack and the weapons, but those are going to be pretty simple, straightforward. Let's see. Parts for the side skirt are a little bit interesting. goes on there. And yeah. The side skirts clipping onto, yeah, I remember this now. This is like one of the very few things that I do remember about this now that I'm putting it together. How the side skirts are clipped onto the joint parts for the hips, basically. It's kind of weird. Very weird, actually. Okay, back skirt here. I think part of the problem is that most games today can actually be bought digitally without going to a store. So GameStop tried to stay above water with the resin. Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. Definitely a good point. I mean, it's not been. It's not. I mean, just the way that the entire industry has progressed. It's been very, like, what do you say? Counterintuitive, counterproductive. What's the word anyway? Not good for how that business model is set up, right? It's not cohesive with the way that GameStop works as a business model. So I'm sure it's been challenging. I mean, what was their option, you know? Shut down or attempt to stay afloat by trying different things, by selling, like, what have they been doing? Like selling anime DVDs and I don't know, whatever else they're trying to do to stay up with things. But yeah, I'm sure it's been a challenge to try to figure out what to do that'll work. All right. Oh, the camera froze again. Why? I think it's that my, like, what do you call it, converter or whatever, between the camera and the computer, I think it just overheats. I think it's probably the issue, unfortunately. But the body is together, and I'm gonna start on the. I'm gonna leave that unplugged for a minute. I'm gonna switch cameras here. Gonna leave that unplugged for a minute to give that a chance to cool down. I'm just working on the backpack here. Camera needs a roundhouse kick to the sensor. Yeah, it's just, I think it's just overheating, probably, is what the issue is. Would be my guess, but I don't know. And yeah, it's not the camera, because I can see on the camera display that it's still working fine. So it's not the camera, it's the something between the camera and the computer. So I think it's the whatever it's called. Try replacing a capture card. I can recommend Shadow. Yeah, capture card is what I'm referring to. Yeah. The one that I have is just like a off-brand one. I can't remember the brand of it, but like at the time when I was looking for one, it was like either what's it called? What's the? I have the microphone. Elgato. It's like the Elgato capture card. Or there was like an off-brand one which was like half the price, and like I looked into reviews and like all the reviews said the off-brand one works like just as well. So it's like, all right, just get that. Shout out to back in 2019 when they put a skin that's literally just the tall geese in Fortnite. I don't know about that. I think I like vaguely remember that, but. Are there canceled kits you would really like to see actually happen? I mean, I'm not like the biggest Age fan in general, but the Masquerade Age 1 is an awesome kit. I love that kit, and I've built the normal and the Sparrow, or the Spallow, and really, really fun kits. I've not built the Titus, but I mean, I can assume it's good. I've built the Age 2 as well. Also, I don't remember it being like particularly as great as the Age 1. The Age 1 normal is just fantastic, like one of the best MGs, I think, probably in my opinion. But yeah, the Age 2 maybe like not quite to that same level, but also still good. So like just because of how good all those kits are, all the Age MGs, would like to see those couple of canceled MG Age kits, which I think it was the Age 3 and the Age FX, I think, right, were the two prototypes that they had that ended up getting canceled. Both of those would be cool. There was talk in the past of, even though I think I mentioned this, or I think I talked about this in one of my April Fool's videos about like a Master Grade Atlas Gundam. I wouldn't actually be that psyched on a Master Grade Atlas Gundam, to be honest. Hang on, my wife's calling me. Okay, anyway. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, like I said, my wife is with the kids at the bounce park thing, so I'm nervous about not being there with them, because all the kids bouncing around and all the different bounce stuff together, it's only a matter of time until somebody gets hurt. So got a little worried there for a second, but my wife just said that they ended up charging her, saying that like the kids can't go in by themselves and that they need an adult to go in, and then the adult needs to pay as well. Anyway, I don't know. So I won't really bore you guys with the details of that, but anyway, yeah, stupid. All right, so yeah, I was gonna turn the other camera back on here for us so I can show you guys what's going on with the wings, but I'm very, very pleasantly surprised. Not surprised. I mean, I guess it's the wrong word, but I'm glad so far in that putting the wings together that the construction of the wings is very simple. Because yeah, on transforming kits, especially like transforming MGs, the build process can be a little bit more draining, I feel like, because a lot of times, like on non-transforming kits, right? I mean, if you build as many kits as I do, you can kind of go through a lot of the building process kind of on autopilot, sort of, right? And it's not as like mentally demanding. where I kind of have to like really pay attention to how these parts go together because it's very different because the transforming kit. That's like it's a small thing. Sort of like if you're a student and building a transforming kit is like building a regular kit is like going to class and just sitting there through a lecture. Building a transforming kit is like going to class and having an exam. So like, is that a good way to describe it? Does that make sense? Okay. Well, no, we don't want that. I don't want just the capture card. I want this OBS setup. There we go. Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. So anyway, just yeah. So I'm glad that the construction of the wings is kind of easy. For this side, fold that. Pop that in there. And then just pop these onto the back. It's that easy. Okay, just trying to get these, making sure I have these on here right so they kind of look how they're supposed to be, straight anyway. There for that. Looks kind of a bit awkward, so I'm feeling like I have something wrong, but I guess that's right. Okay. Anyway, there we go. I mean, it's a great looking design. So that's why it's kind of hard to be too harsh on it, even if the kit has issues, because it's such a cool design. So, I mean, if you look at like a lot of GBWC entries, I feel like there's probably not that many using this kit, but I feel like there's a lot of entries that are either using this kit or using other similar kits like the Rezel or the Hyakushiki or other kits similar like this one that get used a lot because they're just like good looking profiles, right? How's the joint sturdiness for a transformable kit? Well, I think that's where a lot of the issue is going to lie with this, is the joint stability, especially just like being able to stand. Like any kit that has like wings on the back, you kind of already know, and like the wings are not very substantial on this. Any kit that's got wings or like any kind of substantial backpack on it is going to have issues standing just on its own, especially an MG, just because of the size. HGs sometimes maybe a little bit better because you'll have like the big backpack, but it won't weigh as much because there's not as much parts in it. But like just getting the kit to stand here, I mean, like the pose is not quite right. I think honestly, more so than the ankles, the issue with the pose is just the lack of like a ab crunch in the torso, being able to do the pose like quite right. It's kind of harder to get a good looking standing pose without that. But yeah, I think it's a lot of the issues due to the way that the weight comes down on the feet. How I was talking about before, just the alignment of it. All the weight comes down onto the back of the foot rather than like in the middle of the foot, which is where I think probably the main issue is going to lie here with this. But I mean, I am able to get it to stand, and it doesn't look quite right. But okay, let's finish just putting the rifle and shield together, and we'll call it a day. But yeah, let's see. No doubt the Wave Rider mode is the selling point. It's a great jet mode. Yeah, I mean, that too. That's the other thing. So like number one, an action base is probably going to negate a lot of the issues with this kit. The other thing is just put it in a Wave Rider mode, and it's such a good looking Wave Rider mode. I think like a lot of times, some people are big fans of the Wave Rider mode for kits and transforming them. I'm usually not, but this is one that I think looks so good in Wave Rider mode. I would honestly be perfectly happy just, like, if I was really having an issue with it, just put it in Wave Rider mode and then just leave it like that. I'm like, that would be fine, because I like how good this kit looks in Wave Rider mode. Now I feel like I've just said that like 17 times, Wave Rider mode, so I don't want to say it anymore. But let's finish up the construction here. There is a clear part for the camera, which I'm going to leave out for the moment. And I did put that handle in there backwards, so I'm going to have to pop that out. And we've got this part for right here. Just as a reminder, let's see. Too bad it got wrecked in the OVA. I mean, it has some boss moments. I mean, it had, I guess, more accurately, it had a boss moment in the anime, in the OVA. Oh, where the fuck does this part go in here? Sorry. This camera part, I'm trying to figure out. Okay, it goes right there like that. Backwards from what I was expecting. I mean, just the scene where it takes the beam magnum from the unicorn to shoot the Shamblo. I mean, that's a pretty cool scene. Honestly, one of my favorite scenes in the entire series, just because the Shamblo scene is just so good. And I've talked about this before. I like Lonnie. It's just like one of my favorite characters in that series, just from like her very brief scene there. But I mean, like, it's such like an impactful scene. So I love it. You love it. And that's why we love the Delta Plus, because it was a big part of that big scene. All right, we've got our dummy beam saber handles here in the shield. These are beam saber handles and not like missiles, right? If I remember correctly. And okay, yeah, as I was just about to say, before I kind of cut myself off there, just since we're getting close to the end of the build here, just a couple of reminders for you guys. If you want to win the P Bandai for free, if you want to win the P Bandai Master Grade Destiny Impulse Gundam R that we're giving away on the USA Gundam TV channel, was supposed to be for today's live stream build, but today's live stream was delayed until next week. If you would like to enter to win that kit, you can still do that. With that being postponed, just make sure you go and leave a comment. Okay. The fuck? Go and leave your comment on the original post there for that. So check that out. And yeah, that live stream will be on Tuesday. All right. And what else? Yeah, if you're working on your contest entry, hope that that's going well. Yeah, I think those are missiles, because then the beam saber handles do plug into here. Or is it that it has 4 beam saber handles? I don't think that that's right. Anyway, I don't know. Okay. It's here. This here. We got this connection piece and this little piece, which goes. Where have I missed this? Oh, right there. Okay. Tip. Is that gonna fit in there? Probably not, is it? Okay. Rats. Okay. We have Zeta Plus, Delta Plus. Let's hope for a Theta Plus. Ooh. Is that that's that Moon Gundam version, right? I think it's less likely, but I won't discourage you from dreaming. I'll just say personally, I would not hold my breath on that. Let's just say. Okay. Yeah, love the shield design. It's one of those shields that, like, as a shield, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. You're not going to be able to block much with this, but it's a cool design. Almost makes, I mean, as far as like a shield goes, it almost makes it's almost more useful as an offensive weapon than like anything for defensive purposes. Just because, I mean, you could just use the tip of it as just a blunt melee weapon, kind of like the Shinanju did in the OVA. Another one of my favorite scenes where the Shinanju spears a Rezel with his shield. And then you've got, I think it's a beam gun at the front and the beam sabers. I don't remember if those are missiles in the shield or not. Did any of you guys... Actually, I'll have to read the wiki page to remind myself. Don't think it's the fact. Oh, I do have those beam sabers in there backwards, don't I? Oops. It's not supposed to be in there that way. And not going to be too easy to get out either. You can kind of like pop it up and be a little bit easier to grip onto. I guess if the beam saber handles here, I thought that the hole would go in, but actually the hole's, I guess, supposed to be sticking out. That would make it easier to pull the handle out because you can use the beam effect part to stick in there and pull the handle out of there. So like if you want to get that beam saber handle out, just pop that in there and take it out very easily. That makes sense. But yeah, anyway, cool. And here's how it can look given the proper amount of work and everything. Can make it look something like that. I can't whistle. Can't whistle at the moment. I can. But yeah. Okay, so that's it for the live build. I'll work on the review now that I've refreshed my memory on the build. Like I said, because I did build this like 15 years ago or something like that. I guess it would have been, oh, it's not even been out that long. 2011, it's been out 12 years. It's not even that old. 12 years? It's not that bad. I saw some people saying like that it's not necessarily the problem that the kit is bad, it's just old. 12 years is not that old for like Gundam model kits. So, yeah, I guess it would have been, when would I have built this? Must have been while I was living in Japan. No, while I was living in Korea, I guess. Yeah, before I was doing stuff on YouTube. Anyway, so yeah, now that I've refreshed my memory on the build, I can see there's definitely issues. Oh, that's why the wing looks weird. I have this one backwards, don't I? I do. Oh. What is wrong with me? Okay. Anyway, so I'm gonna fix that. And in the meantime, thank you guys for coming and hanging out for the live stream. Seed Gundams are still peak MG. I mean, yeah, the Seed MGs are really, really good. No doubt about that. But no, there's a lot of great MGs. A lot of some of the best MGs did come out around that time. I mean, like the Seed MG kits came out around that similar time, 2011, 2012, I think. So the Age 1 Normal, I think, is probably out around that similar time as well that I was talking about earlier, being such a great kit. So there's a lot of fantastic MG kits that still to this day are some of the best MGs that you can get that came out from this time. So the fact of how old this kit is or not is not the issue. It's just that there's certain aspects to the construction, the design of it, that make it problematic. And so how easy or not is it to kind of work around those problems is what I kind of want to tackle in discussing this kit. So that's what we'll talk about in the review. And if I can ever get these pieces apart carefully, I'll put this wing part back in there correctly, and we can move on with our lives. But may not be that easy. Anyway, so that's gonna be it for today. Hope you guys all have a great weekend. Got a bunch of stuff in the works, obviously. So as I talked about, if you guys missed the update video, if you guys are interested in the subject matter of the update video, it's like the majority of the update video was about like stuff related to my content, but like there was just, yeah, there was like personal life stuff in there as well. But anyway, check it out if you're interested and just can be informed as to what's going on. And I will, yeah, just be working on all kinds of different stuff to share with you guys now, which is the correct way. Need to make sure I've got this on correctly this time. Woo! God dang. All right. That's correct now. Put this back together. And voila, now the backpack's looking more correct. Anyway, okay. That's it for today, guys. Adios. Thank you all. Have a great weekend. Thanks, Ryan. I didn't know you were there. How long have you been there, Ryan? Hey. And yeah, have a great weekend, guys. Thank you all so much for all of your support. And I don't know. Yeah, I think that's it. So, okay. Bye.